How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video of me, OLT. Over my shoulder you can see the Range Rover Evoque, and in this one I'm going to be giving you the 5 things I've loved about this car. This is actually my girlfriend's car and I've been able to use it for the last year and a half myself at the same time, so I've got a good experience with this one, done plenty of miles with it, plenty of road trips, so I'm going to give you all the things I've loved about this one while we've used it. So the first thing then that I love about this car is going to be the cameras and parking sensors and how easy this thing is to park. So if I come closer you can see all these little circles on the front of the car, with this one here being a full-on camera. Parking sensors then run all the way around the car, and if I take you around to the back you'll see they then extend onto the back with another camera there, and that shows all of the parking sensors on the car. So if I then jump into the car, pressing the parking sensors button, you will then see the cameras that this car has. So you can press this little arrow here and it'll spin you around the car, going to each little point, picking up a 3D surround view of the car, which is absolutely insane. You can then, instead, if you want to use the right hand side of this screen, as I let it focus again, you can see all them little grey shapes. You can click on each one of them and that'll take you to a different part of the car. So for example, if I press this back left one, spins you at that angle. If I press the front, spins you around at that one, and then you've got these ones that are on the car as well. So this one here, it'll show you that little angle from the corners of the car, so you can see just where you're placing the corners. The middle will show you that one that's just above the registration plate. The front will do the same, show you the front angles, and this one right at the front here shows you straight directly in front of the car, so you can see just how close you are in front or behind another car. And I just think that is absolutely brilliant. This car isn't massive anyway, it's quite small, but to have all them parking sensors really makes it much easier to park this thing. If you then press off-road, you'll then get all of these ones where it shows you your alloys. So if you look in there you can see your alloy and just what you might be hitting and what you might be getting close to, which makes it really easy when you're off-roading this thing to know where you're going, where you're putting the car and where you're aiming it. The second thing I love about this car then is actually going to be the design of it. I think in terms of all the small SUVs out there, I think this is best in class of how it looks, and I'm going to walk you around what I think are the best aspects of it now. The sleek new curvy designs on the Evoque takes a lot of its sort of inspiration from the Velar, and this is also replicated across the whole Range Rover range. Now you'll see this in every sort of model, the Evoque, the Velar, the Sport, and now the full Range Rover. So I just think to have that continued throughout the range shows just how well and how good this car actually looks. It's sleek, it's curvy, it's stylish. Obviously you had Victoria Beckham design the original one, and they've just enhanced this one to make it more modern and keep up to date, and it's almost got a timeless look to it, to be fair. You look at the front there and it's a smaller version of a Range Rover Sport in the Velar, which I think are two really good looking cars. So when this one's copied that design, I think it's really suited it. You've obviously got the fins here. The dynamic pack also gives you these louvres on top of the bonnet, which works really well. You have the R dynamic down there with the bigger alloys and this side skirt that comes all the way along, and the introduction of the retractable door handles, which is a massive bonus for this car. So as you can see, it just makes it look so much better when they're retracted. Obviously while you're driving they're going to be retracted, and it's the only car in its class to have that. It also has the back spoiler to make the roof look even more slanted and sloped, which looks really good. And just the black pack on this one also really highlights how nice the car is. I don't think there's really a bad angle of this car, to be honest. There's some bad angles of other cars in its competitors class, and I just think this one really has a design point down to a T throughout. The third and fourth thing I love about this car play hand in hand with each other. So it's all about the size and the storage capability that this car has. So we'll start off with the storage and we'll jump inside of the car. So inside the car then, for how compact this one is on the outside, the storage space on the inside is really good. So these door bins, at the minute it's got a bit of my camera equipment in that bag. It's quite a hefty bag, that as well. It fits in there perfectly. You can get loads of bottles in there, which is really good in those door bins. You then got the center console, which features 2 cup holders. I mean, right, in here is going to be a mess before anything. Oh, it's actually not. My girlfriend's obviously cleaned that out. You've got a massive storage bin in there, which as you can see is as wide as a biro pen, and way deeper than a biro pen as well. So that's got plenty storage space for you. You've got a hidden storage bin there, which also most people don't recognise, don't see. In the rear of the car then, it's all the same. You get massive door bins still to fit all your water, all of your sweets, all your dog treats. As you can see, we do have a dog bed there, and with that dog bed you can still get 2 people in comfortably on either side. You've got the netting in the back of the seats for an extra bit of storage, and you can also pull down the centre of this seat for some extra cup holders there, and that slots down just nicely next to the side of the dog bed. You can carry people comfortably in this one as a 3, but even with a dog bed in, you'll fit 2 people either side of that, absolutely no bother whatsoever. Sticking on storage, the boot then for this one, it's not as big as you might think, but it is still 590 litres, and it's very square with no load lip whatsoever, so you can get a number of suitcases in there, absolutely no problem. And if you need to put any more stuff in the car, there's plenty of space inside the car. As you can see under here as well, you also get another storage compartment if you don't have the spare tyre, so that makes it even nicer to have your bags and stuff chucked in there. You've got obviously your netting on the side and another bit of elastic on that side with all your tow hooks and your tether points too, for extra support in the back to keep everything weighted down, not shifting about, and absolutely perfect. So yeah, the storage on this one has been really surprising. We go away on trips all the time in this, and it is not a problem whatsoever carrying multiple bags, as females always do. So yeah, storage really, really good. So as I mentioned before then, the third and fourth thing that I love about this car actually fit hand in hand and coupled together. I was telling you about how much storage space there is inside of this car, so for that reason you'd think it's a really big car. It's actually not. It's so compact, as its name states, as a compact SUV, that this thing becomes so easy to park and so easy to drive around town. It's unbelievable. It's a lot smaller than you actually think. Obviously if you're driving a coupe or a Mini Cooper or something like that, something like a small hatchback, you will find this car big when you first get into it, but after a few minutes of driving you'll realise that this car isn't really that big. It's just almost a hatchback on stilts. So the general size of the car is a lot smaller than the other cars in the Range Rover lineup and the Defenders, but it doesn't feel like that when you're inside it, because you get that high seated position and then you start to realise how small and compact the car actually is. So you know where all the corners are, you know where every sort of aspect and alloy of the car is, and you don't really feel like you're driving this big Jeep of a thing, because you're really not. It's almost like a TARDIS, to be honest. It's small on the outside but big on the inside, which gives you that weird feeling that you're actually got a load of road presence and you're much taller than every other car. Yeah, you're a little bit taller, but you're not actually that much bigger than every other car on the road. So when you're taking this thing into town, it is so easy to drive. The manoeuvrability of it is really, really good. You'll never struggle getting around any tight corners, and you'll really will find it so easy to park this thing. We've obviously got the full Range Rover at home, and sometimes when we take that into the city it can be an absolute nightmare and a chore to get around. It drives lovely, don't get us wrong, but getting that in some parking bays is horrendous. You've really got to be careful where you're parking it, because it'll overhang out of bays, it'll go onto the main road, it'll just be too wide and too long, whereas this thing is pretty much the perfect size. Couple that with all the cameras, you're really never ever going to struggle to park this thing. So that is going to be something else that me and my girlfriend have loved. You're able to drive this round anywhere, park it anywhere, park it however you like. It's not going to invade other people's space, it's going to fit in every bay, it's really easy to park. And then you've got the inside aspect of it where you feel like you're in a big car and you feel like you've got so much storage space, but it's just a compact SUV at the end of the day, and it fits that perfectly. So the fifth and final thing I love about this car then is actually going to be the really clever tech and computers that goes into this car. So when you're driving this car, it's a 4-wheel drive car, but in normal driving it will only use the front 2 wheels while driving, and that is to save fuel. But when you want to have a bit more power, or you change it into a different mode, it will actually engage the back 2 tyres and make it 4-wheel drive, and that'll give you extra power and extra grip. So it's just something really simple. Obviously these cars aren't the best on fuel, but to use only the front 2 tyres when you're driving makes it much better on fuel. And then when you need the extra power and you need the extra grip, the car knows when to use all 4 tyres and really engage everything to make it a much better drive for you. So that's another thing I've really loved, the clever computer, and I'll show you some of the other clever tech on the inside. So this clever tech then extends inside the car, and whether you're in any Land Rover, whether it's a Defender, a Discovery, a Range Rover, you get all these driving modes that really assist the sort of drive you can have in this car. As you can see at the minute we're in Comfort. You can stick that over into Dynamic and that'll stiffen the suspension, change the throttle response and the gears. Eco does exactly what it says on the tin. It really makes this car much more efficient, especially on motorway driving. You've got comfort, which will do everything in its possible power to make this as comfortable and as luxurious a drive as you can get. And then you get the more interesting aspects of this car's clever tech and capabilities. You start off with the grass, gravel and snow, you then get mud ruts, and you then get sand. Will you ever use any of these three on the right here? Probably not. I mean, I have used grass, gravel, snow a few times in the Range Rover, and it does help, and it really changes how you're able to get about in this thing, especially when other cars are getting stranded in the snow. But then you've also got the low traction modes, as you saw come up there, in the weight sensing and all these other things that these cars do have, regardless of the sort of level of car you're in, whether it be the Evoque, a Velar, a Sport, or a big Range Rover or a Defender. Land Rover do put these features in the car, and these clever computers make this car a dream to drive in every condition. You're never going to get stuck in one of these, which is really good. Obviously, if you're being an idiot and you're taking it to places where no car can really go, you're going to struggle. But everyday driving, and I mean this car especially, most people are getting it for just the sort of city drives and the motorway driving. You're never ever going to struggle. It's always going to plow through, and it's always going to be able to get you from A to B really comfortably and in the easiest way possible. So that has been all the 5 things that I've loved on this one. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the 5 things that I love about this Range Rover Evoque. There is more things I love, but they're the 5 main ones, and there is things I hate, and there's going to be another video coming out of those 5 things that I do hate about this car, because it's not all perfect. There is things I do dislike about this one. I've been OLT, and I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video. Thanks for subscribing, liking and commenting as you always do, and thank you very much for getting us over 1,000 subscribers on the channel. It really makes a massive difference, and I really appreciate it. So yes, please be tuned in to all the other videos that are coming your way, and thank you again for watching. Cheers.